Ghislaine Maxwell has just submitted a significant filing in federal court in New York. This comes on the same day the New York Times released a bombshell report revealing the exact location of surveillance cameras inside Jeffrey Epstein's seven-story Manhattan townhouse. The New York Times also published additional letter addressed to Jeffrey Epstein, including some from his 63rd birthday. On one partially disturbing letter came from Woody Allen, who referred to Epstein's townhouse as Castle Dracula. Nothing that the young woman walking around reminded him of out Count Dracula's domain. Now, regarding Ghislaine Maxwell major court filing, the timing of it is unlikely to be coincidental. It appears closely connected to her recent meeting with Department of Justice (DOJ). In this new filing, Maxwell is asking the federal court not to release any grand jury transcript from her criminal case, citing ongoing litigation and an active petition on before the US Supreme Court. She urged that the grand jury material must remain sealed. But she is not the only one trying to keep those records hidden. Donald Trump also has vested interest in blocking their release. Despite the Trump team public posting that they wanted grand jury material release, their action tells a different story. Their action is different. In Florida, where one of federal case was filed, 11th Circuit Court of Appeals precedent make it virtually impossible to release grand jury testimony. It contracts New York Under Circuit President significantly in the Recarrick case. Does allow for release under rare exceptional circumstances, but only for considering factors like whether individual applicated are still alive or appealing their convictions. So, not only has Trump camp failed the release 300 plus gigabytes, not megabytes, 300 plus gigabytes of Epstein related files that the DOJ and FBI could disclose at any time, but Maxwell recent legal manual coming shortly after the meeting with Trump's former criminal defense lawyer and her suspicious transfer to a cash minimum security prison in Texas is aimed securely at keeping the grand jury transcripts sealed. This would effectively prevent key information from ever reaching the public. Next, we will break down the exact contents of Maxwell filing and then dig in to explore new findings unearthed by the network, trying all of this together. Ghislaine Maxwell, latest court filing, makes a pointed argument. Jeffrey Epstein is dead, but she is not. She contends that any public interest in Epstein cannot justify violating the long-standing secrecy of grand jury proceeding in a case where the defendant herself is still alive, has viable legal avenues, and retains her due process rights. Maxwell argues that after Epstein's death, federal prosecutor in the Southern District of York shifted their focus entirely onto her, casting her as face of his crime. In her views, she was turned into a scapegoat, the only person in the government could prosecute. She claims her conviction came aimed at media frenzy filled with false reporting and distorted portrayals of evidence. Now, with her appeal pending before the US Supreme Court, Maxwell is urging the court not to release the grand jury transcript. She urged that the transcript include unverified, hearsay-based statement pretended behind closed doors without ever undergoing proper legal challenge through cross-examination. Despite the government to opposing her recent request to review the transcript, she maintained that they should not be unsealed for the public. It's important note that the grand jury testimony represent only friction, maybe 1% of what exists. What the public truly wants are the action file held by the FBI and DOJ, Department of Justice, the 300 plus gigabytes of evidence that could be released at any time but are not. Maxwell motion effectively blocked even the small piece of puzzle, and Trump can appear to be quietly supportive of keeping it sealed. Meanwhile, questions remain unanswered about why Maxwell was transferred to a minimum security facility in Texas, essentially a camp environment despite being a convicted sex trafficker, which should normally disqualify her from such placement. Her transfer require a waiver suggesting preferential treatment. To many, it seems like a disturbing trade-off while the public has been demanding the release of file related to Epstein. What we go instead was the softening of consequences for someone convicted of trafficking. It raises a chilling question. Is this all part of an effort to help Donald Trump bury his own ties to Epstein? What the context? What the context? Let's now look at today's explosive revelation from the New York Times because this appears to be part of much broader interconnected story. Similarly, the mega controlled House of Representatives has indefinitely postponed Ghislaine Maxwell deposition. Don't be misled by any claims suggesting it's still happening this month. That's simply not true. House Oversight Committee Chair Mega Republican James Comer has already said the deposition will be delayed until after the Supreme Court issue a ruling, which could push it to October or November. And even then, Maxwell may choose to invoke her Fifth Amendment's right. It's all part of familiar strategy. Delay, 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 delay. Here's what the New York Times article reveals. A look inside Jeffrey Epstein Manhattan lair. Inside this seven-story townhouse, Epstein, a convicted sex offender, entertained the elite, displayed photographs with president, and kept first edition of Lolita according to newly surfaced photo and letters. This place is as disturbing as it sounds, including a mannequin dressed as bride hanging by a rope from the ceiling. But what reality? But what really matter is surveillance footage. The article identified exactly where the cameras were positioned inside the townhouse. The same footage currently held by Department of Justice and FBI. The public deserve to see it. We want to know who was there. Whether it's Trump or anyone else, it should matter. Just release the tapes. That townhouse, referred to as a Castle Dracula by Woody Allen in a letter also published by the New York Times. New York Times is the same palace where photos show Donald Trump and Melania posing with Jeffrey Epstein. That alone raises serious question. And if that was not enough, the Daily Beast dropped another bombshell report. earlier this morning, adding even more fuel to the fire. Jeffrey Epstein remained a member of Trump Mar-a-Lago Club even after his indictment. According to the book, the Grifter Club, Trump, Mar-a-Lago and selling of the presidency by Miami health journalist Sarah Belaski, Ostrov, Nicholas, and J. Weaver. Epson membership account was not closed until October 2017 or 2007. That timing aligns with even Epson alleged crime began receiving greater public scrutiny. A New York Post article referring a video breakdown yesterday cited a Mar-a-Lago source claiming Epson used the club to recruit underage girls. Epson later publicly insisted he had not been banned from the property. If there was falling out between Trump and Epson, it appears to have occurred after that, but not because of Epson's known misconduct, which dated back at least 2000. Back in 2000. In fact, Trump and Epson reportedly hosted parties together Mar-a-Lago that featured dozens of girls and younger women of underage. Virginia Giuffre, who was trafficked by Epson, worked at Mar-a-Lago suburb when she was either 16 or had just turned 17. Trump allegedly instructed her to wear revealing clothes and was aware that Epson had stolen her and other girls. Trump's own words? Yet in 2002, after those alleged incidents, Trump still publicly referred to Epson as a great guy. Epson even attended Trump and Melania's wedding. Their relationship reportedly soars not over Epson abuse of young women, but over failed real estate deal. Epson showed Trump a Palm Beach mansion he planned to buy for 38 million. Trump undercut him with a 445 million offer, bought it himself, and then flipped it to a Russian oligarch for nearly double just 2 years later. Without any Without any renovation, Epson was furious and reportedly considering using Trump, believing he had been betrayed. Around that same time, an anonymous flip about Epson's criminal behavior was given to authorities. Epson always suspected that the person who turned him in might have been Trump. Let me show you some additional footage that has recently surfaced. Let's contact the dots. The network uncovered video from 2006 showing Donald Trump speaking at an event hosted by the Linux. During the event, Trump invites a young woman from the audience whose age is unclear after she wants to work on one of his planes. What follows is disturbing. Trump tells story in which the companies have behavior around attractive 17 and 18-year-old girl that of an alcoholic, claiming the simply cannot control in that age range. He will hire her because again he cannot help himself. Here's the clip. You can hear him say it in his own words.
My name is Juliet. I have a question. My question is, how many jets do you have and how would I provide to be flight attendants?
I think she's hired. You're hired. Now, I have a case. It's very interesting. A beautiful girl who was 17 or 18 applying to be a waitress. She's so beautiful. She's like a world-class beauty, like the young lady who just asked a question about the actress. She's so beautiful. And my people came, she said, look, Mr. Trump, she has no experience. Show your computer right work, because you're so good. And I said, let me ask you, do you have any experience? She goes, no, sir. I said, when did you start? You all need to work on my plan anytime. Yeah. See, now, she worked in my plan. That's like a death wish for me, right? That's like an alcoholic. I have many friends that wonderful people that are alcoholics. You put scotch in front of them. It's like, this would be my form of alcoholism. Okay, yes, sir.
Finally, we had acclaimed Miami Herald journalist Julie Brown on the network, and she shared a revealing story about the deposition involving Jeffrey Epstein, accountant. During the deposition, it was disclosed that Epstein had used his modeling agency as a front to recruit girls for sex trafficking. According to Brown, Epstein had expressed interest in structuring his agency to resemble Donald Trump modeling agency. Here's what Julie Brown had to say during our conversation. Plays this clip.
Right. Well, there was that came out as part of the discovery in one of the lawsuits. Brad Edwards, who represented a number of victims, deposed Epstein had a company, a modeling company, and Brad Edwards deposed the accountant who worked for that company, worked for Epstein's company, modeling company. And in that deposition, she provided a lot of detail about what he was doing. And it's clear that he was using that company, a modeling company, as a cover in part for the sex trafficking that he was doing, because she was describing exactly what they would do. They would send the younger girls down to Epstein's place in Palm Beach. And she just gave more detail than we had before, including the fact that when Epstein formed that company, he said to her, I want it to be set up just like Donald Trump's modeling agency. So what that means.
That's in that record. That she testified to that under oath.
Right.
That Epstein said that he wanted to model his modeling company that he would invest in on Trump.